Welcome, everyone, to the third episode of the For Future Reference podcast. My name is Grayson Perkins, and I'm joined by Noah Connor.
Hello, everyone.
And hello back, Noah, as I'm sure everyone is probably saying. We've got a big night ahead of us tonight. Lots of topics, lots of things to talk about. Noah and I watched 2 movies, and we will get into those when we get to that. We also have our music to talk about today, and we have some really good albums that I kind of wasn't expecting, what with Noah's recommendation track record.
Ouch.
I'm just messing with you, man.
Oh, anyway, sorry, oof.
Oof, that's right.
Big oof.
Oh, I forgot to ask you, we don't have any, big-time memes to talk about this episode, do we?
I don't think we have any memes, no. I mean, the Pikachu surprise meme is still going strong, as it should, because I love that meme.
It should
That's
die.
Great. It shouldn't die. It's really good.
It's not that great, buddy.
It's pretty great. Shut up.
Okay. Subscribe to PewDiePie. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah, subscribe to PewDiePie, absolutely. We'll be T-Series one day.
I'm subscribed from T-Series.
Yeah, because they have automatically made you subscribe. Because they have that power. They do.
It's the entire population of India.
That's insane. There's way too many of them.
What is that supposed to mean?
Oh, just, we need a new plague.
Okay, Dwight.
That's what I was playing off of, but yeah.
Well, I'm glad I picked that up then. All right.
There you go.
So, let's go ahead and get into this day in history.
Big stuff.
Not really.
I was being facetious.
Yeah, I mean, we got the Battle of Fredericksburg during the American Civil War. So that one explains itself.
Yep. And supposedly the first Wright brothers flight, but I don't know if that one's completely accurate.
Yeah, we got mixed dates on that one because I got December 17th.
I got December 13th. We'll just say it's around this time, so because it'll work for the podcast.
Dang it, dude! I forgot to say what the date is again.
It's December 13th.
I do that. I've done that 3 times in a row now, I think. I don't remember if I did it the first episode.
I think I remember you doing that, yeah.
Oops.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, so tomorrow in history, December 14th, is Monkey Day in Bangladesh. So I don't know what that's all about.
So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, you guys hyped for Monkey Day?
Get your monkeys out. Get them ready.
Get your monkeys ready for Monkey Day.
Get your monkeys ready. What else are you gonna do with them?
They're gonna party hard in Bangladesh tomorrow, man.
Oh, absolutely. Alrighty. Well, that was a great today in history. Lots of exciting things.
That was boring. That's probably our most boring one yet.
Well, you know what? History's kind of boring, so.
Hey.
That's kind of the way it is.
I disagree.
Well, it doesn't matter if you disagree, because I'm going to take the reins for just 1 second. I wanted to clarify last podcast. I think I was a little bit silent on the today in history as far as the Darwinian day. I guess it's not really a day. Whatever.
It was the day he published the book.
The book, gotcha. I just wanted to say, if I maybe misled people, I'm not really a fan of Charles Darwin. I'm sure he did a lot of great things as opposed to the origin of species, but I'm not a fan of that. I don't really subscribe to that idea or ideology. But I'm sure he did some other things that were cool or whatever, because like I said last podcast, animals are cool. I still hold true to that. So with that, I think we can move on.
Well, at least one of us thinks animals are cool. I hate animals.
Okay, all right. Let's not get too caught.
I wish animals never existed.
How could you say something so brave yet so controversial? Is that it?
It's controversial, then brave.
Then brave. Dang it, I messed it up yet again.
Okay, all right. Anyway, you want to go into music?
Yeah, let's do music first.
All right. So what did you listen to, Noah? What did I have you listen to?
Well, you had me listen to Radiohead's OK Computer. So this one was an interesting listen. I'll give you my first impressions. I really like Radiohead's Creep because I'm a human being who has ears and has a rational sensibility. So that's obviously a great song, and I didn't really listen to them besides that, but I do like that song a lot. And I went into this album like kind of excited because I was like, I really like that song. You know, I want to see what else they have to offer. And I was kind of disappointed initially, honestly. I was like, this is like weird, and I'm not crazy about it. And I was like, no, there's something here. Let me just keep going. And I listened to the album about 3 or 4 times because I had plenty of time. And gosh, it got better after like every listen. And it is probably the biggest shift of any album that I've ever listened to, as far as like not liking initially and then like really growing to like it, because it takes me a little while to grow to like other people's music and even my music. So I don't know, I really liked it. Last time I listened to it, nice.
Excuse me.
Excuse you.
Sorry,
I'll give you,
that was
so rude. That was. I'll give you my favorite songs. So I really liked Electioneering. That's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
That's one of the later parts of the album, and I don't know. Like I don't really understand. I'll be honest. I don't understand the lyrics. I don't think I'm smart enough for that, but I do like the sound, and I'm not really good with describing music because I don't know the technicalities and verbiage. But I really like that one. I think the weirdest one was probably the most evidently weird one, which was Fitter Happier, which is, I guess, like an interlude, like an art piece in the middle, which we talked about that before, which I'm not really crazy about those. But I don't know. It was weird. And basically any artist that does those, I just find kind of odd. It was basically just like a monotone voice with some sort of track behind it. So it was weird. I think one of the better songs on the album is Exit Music for a Film. That is such a good song.
I think that's my favorite song on the album.
I think, yeah, honestly, it's probably my favorite. And it's just, it starts off so like you don't really see like how the song goes from the beginning. It starts off really, you think it's probably just gonna be one of those where it's just kind of like a one of those breaks from like a rock album where it's just kind of like, you know, nice guitar and vocal and that stuff. But it really just, it escalates through the whole song and it just turns into just straight up rock and roll, and it was great.
Yeah.
I really like that one. It has a lot of it's really varied, and I think it's a really good song on this album. I think one of the obvious really good ones is Paranoid Android, which is it has such a good like instrumental part in the middle of the song, and I really liked it. I think with this album it takes time to really get used to like the flow of the music, because initially I was like, it just bounces around too much. I can't really get a handle on it, but I think over time and listening to it over and over, it gets so much better. I think it's one of those where you just listen to it a lot, it just gets a lot better. And then Karma Police was really good. I think there's like a lot of really good songs. I think with both of these albums, I really like is like, it's not really like, you know, a great single and then the rest of it's kind of filler, like deep tracks or whatever. Like, it felt like each song was very like individual to itself. It stood out on its own, and they were all really solid throughout. There's obviously some like more middle of the road songs, but I think all of them were like really good. Except for that, there's this one song that just I'm blanking on the title, but it was basically like just a weird like kind of regular song for this album, I guess, and it just had this weird like ringing throughout like the whole song. And I get the whole like Android, like, you know, what does it mean to be human sort of thing that the album was going for, and I like that about it a lot. But there's just, I can't I don't think that sort of theme really trumps like just a song being like hurting my ears. So I didn't really like that. But overall, I really did like the album a lot. I thought there's a lot of good stuff there. Awesome. So obviously, great. It's a great like rock art album. And I think it's a great example of like an album that is very artistic and just excellent. So I really enjoyed it. As far as like a rating goes, I'm gonna do like 4 out of 5. I really liked it.
Fantastic.
All right, did you have any thoughts on that?
Um,
What are your thoughts on that album?
yeah, it's the only Radiohead album that I'm really, really familiar with. Like, I like Pablo Honey a lot, but I think that's the one with Creep on it.
Yeah.
But I think OK Computer is my personal favorite, and I wanted to recommend you the album from Radiohead that I liked the most. Uh, Pablo Honey is really good, and if you get an opportunity, listen to that one. But that is not an official recommendation for the next podcast. I have something totally different in mind, and we'll get into that after I talk about the one that you recommended me.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I think we can both agree it's an excellent album.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
all right. Did you want to move on to the album that I had suggested to you?
yes. And let me just apologize. I am a little bit sick. I mean, not really sick, but yeah, I have a cold, a lot of drainage, kind of a cough. So I'm sorry. I'm going to be coughing a lot during the podcast.
Not forgiven, but go on.
Oh, well, that's a shame. Anyway, so you recommended me The District's Telephone.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, really good.
Yep.
A very pleasant surprise. I was half expecting it to be similar to the other recommendations you made to me, which I didn't really care for all that much. I thought they were good in and of themselves, but I didn't think they were really for me.
No, yeah, that's totally fair. Dan Arbeck isn't for everyone.
Yeah. And neither is Maroon 5, but
I don't know. It's like there's a lot of Maroon 5 songs that I've just heard from growing up. So I don't know. I think it's pretty. I think it's a people pleaser, but it also has a really good specific direction.
Oh, for sure. Well, anyway, so back to Telephone. This is the first album by the Districts that I've ever listened to, and it was a wonderful introduction.
Yes.
I really liked the majority of this album. I'd say like out of the 13 songs, I really loved about 11 of them. And I'm not going to go into all of them, but there were only 2 that I didn't really care for all that much. Take Me Home was kind of, I guess...
that's probably one of the smaller ones where it's more of a throwaway song than the others. I agree.
It was just a little, it felt too drawn out, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's that bit, long instrumental bit that's just, it feels too slow. And then, of course, the songs that I really loved include Telephone, obviously, that's the self-titled song, and then we have Callbox. I thought it was incredible. Such good vocals on that song. And then,
Absolutely.
Of course, the fantastic, the amazing piano song. Such a hard hitter. Such a hard hitter. It killed me.
That song's incredible, and I have a lot to discuss but I'll let you keep going. But this album is amazing.
I thought the introduction song, I think it's Layla or Lila.
Oh, Lila.
Lila, was a very strong intro to the album, and the reason it was so strong is because it left you wanting more as soon as the song was done. Because like that sound, they have a particular take on rock, alternative rock on this album. That's so just like it's so unique that it just sort of it presents itself all together in Lila, and then it leaves you with, oh, okay, just show me more of that, give me more of that hard hitting guitar, and like, oh my god, dude, the instrumentals on this album are so good. 4 and 4 has a particular riff that I really like. I'm not gonna play it on the podcast for obvious reasons, but go and listen to that song. Just listen.
Whole album.
The whole album is so good. Of course, there's a few parts that I don't care for particularly, but no album is perfect, and I'm not gonna love every part of every album that I listen to.
Except for Pink Floyd's The Wall. That's probably a perfect album.
I don't know, man. There's some parts in that album that I don't care for. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know. To each his own.
But
this album is like all the way through original, all the way through excellently performed. What did you think of Long Distance?
I thought it was good. It wasn't a standout one for me, but I thought it was good. I think that a lot of the standout songs are really good. Like Funeral Beds, I've listened to that song so many times. I love the lyricism in that song is amazing. Oh yeah.
And I think Piano Song, like, because I'm looking here on iTunes, and it's not, Piano Song isn't starred, so it's not one of the popular ones.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably, if not the best, one of the best songs on this album, because it has such a such a build up.
I blew my nose.
No, you're good. The build up on that song is so good, and it's so satisfying when, I don't know, I guess for lack of a better term, when the beat drops, I guess.
Oh, dude.
But I basically, whenever I listen to a song, I just turn my speakers up and literally to the max, because that is such a good transition from like the build up to where it drops, and it's such a good song.
You know, I don't know if you'll be familiar with this comparison, but it's probably, it reminds me a lot of, and you might laugh at this, but it reminds me a lot of a particular Kanye West song. And not because the songs are similar. Mm-hmm. In fact, they're not similar at all. But it's the way that the beat comes in. Like, it's surprising. If you've ever heard Blood on the Leaves by Kanye West, the beginning of that song is like really low, and like it's a very popular song that he has, and it's like sort of low, and it's just sort of him singing and rapping a little bit, and then like the beat comes in, and it's so hard hitting, and it's just like out of nowhere, this intense, crazy beat, and that's exactly what Piano Song reminded me of, and I love that. I love that because it was very surprising, and definitely one of my favorites on the album. Definitely.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite things about this album is it's so like because there's so many albums, so many musicians that will do songs where they resonate with people on a very simple subject. It does the same thing. Like, it resonates with me on a simple subject, on a lot of simple subjects, but it just does it in such a unique and really, really well done way that it makes those subjects even better. And I think it does it in a really soulful way. Like, for instance, Silver Couplets is really good. I think it's another underrated song. Silver Couplets is basically about like childhood memories and like letting go and like revisiting those thoughts of, you know, what it was like to be a kid and to have all your friends together and just like being sorrowful at having to let that go.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously resonates.
Dude, that hit me so hard.
It really did.
Lie. I saw myself thinking about like old times, because it's winter right now. Oops. Yeah. It's December, and I used to have friends over like all the time on December, and we would stay up super late playing video games and just hanging out and watching movies and eating pizza and junk food, and like that hit me, you know. It really pulls on your heartstrings as far as using nostalgia against you.
It really does. It's an excellent tool in this album to really make you feel something. And I think especially in like Sleepy Song Part 2, I think is so good. Just like a lot of the other songs in this album. But that one's I love how it just has like a topic for everything that like everybody goes through. Like, Sleepy Song is like being like depressed and sad and like just how you feel, and it's such an accurate representation of just like feeling depressed. And I don't know, I think it tackles that issue in a really simple way. It doesn't really provide an answer. It just I don't know, it's almost comforting. Like, I'm not depressed right now, but when I have been in the past and I've listened to this, it's like you've how can I explain it? It's like having a friend there almost, because
Yeah.
the song is like, it's simple, but it's like it expresses the same thing that you're feeling at the time, and it's really comforting. And I think like another one like Callbox. I think Callbox resonates with me way more than it used to,
Mm-hmm.
because that song is totally about like, I don't know like what I'm gonna do. I don't know what the rest of my life is about. And that intro where he just says, um, "I don't know where I'm going," in such a like uh, loud and extreme way in the beginning. It obviously resonates because we're younger and we don't know what the rest of our lives are going to be like, and it's just such a it's a simple topic, and again done so well.
Yeah.
And funeral beds, that's like the death of a loved one,
Mm.
and I think that one's done excellently. It's again a simple topic, but each one of these like little things is um, simple. It's not really a complicated issue, but they're done in such like a manner that you can relate to so
Yeah.
easily. And it's just, I think it's like such a good album for anytime, any feeling that you're feeling. It's just such a good companion to that, and I think that's why that album um, resonates with me so much.
Mm. Yeah. I couldn't agree more, man. I didn't get to be fair, there were only a few songs I really paid attention to the lyrics on, and when I did, it really hit home. But like I found myself so distracted by like how good the instrumentals were.
Yeah, I mean the instrumentals are fantastic in that album.
Yeah. So overall, if I had to rate it out of 10,
Mm.
and of course you used your letterbox scale,
Letterbox standard, yes.
your letterbox standard rating system, I will be using the traditional all American freedom loving 10 10 scale.
Mm.
And I would have to give it an 8. An
Solid.
8. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I would recommend this to pretty much anyone who likes uh, good lyrics and great instrumentals.
Yeah, I for the longest time was trying to get people to listen to the band, and nobody would really listen. But they have an amazing follow up, which, spoiler alert, is the one I'm going to be suggesting next.
Okay.
And it has a little bit of a spoiler. It has an 8-minute long song, and it's probably like in my top 3 favorite songs of them, and it is so good. And if you liked Piano Song, you're really gonna like it.
Awesome.
But yeah, excellent. I love their work. Definitely check them out. They did a new album 2017. I haven't really gotten around to listening to it. I'm not too impressed with it. They've done some pretty good stuff. I'd say 85% of their stuff is incredible.
Hmm. They have another album. Well, not an album, but they have a single that came out this year.
Yeah, I think it's Soft Auxiliary. That's what it's called. Might be wrong.
Nighttime Girls.
Oh yeah, Nighttime Girls. Yeah. I think I listened to that. I don't know. I think their newer stuff is not as good as their original 2 albums, but I think it'll probably just take some listening to really get into it. But
Fair.
yeah, they're definitely really good.
All right. Well, let's see. What? So you're recommending me what album for next time?
Okay, so for the next album, okay, just for people who don't know, I guess you maybe have said it already, but that was Telephone by the Districts. I think you did. And the one I'm suggesting next is A Flourish and Spoil by the Districts. And that's
Flourish and a Spoil. All right.
Yeah, so I think both really good albums. Definitely recommend anybody who enjoys good music for both of those albums.
Fantastic. Well, my recommendation for you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, you're gonna love this. I will be recommending you an album that, well, I don't know if a lot of people like it or not, but it's a very interesting band.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Turn Off the Radio. or Turn the Radio Off, rather, by Real Big Fish. And
Yeah, I've never heard of them.
this is they're a ska band.
Oh my god.
And I love this album so much.
I was dreading the moment that you suggested a Kanye West album, but I don't know if this is possibly worse. A ska band.
I love Kanye, man.
All right,
But this is
we'll
the only
hope
ska
that
album that I really like. And
well, maybe it'll be worth it then.
well, yeah, and the reason I like it, and I want to tell you about this before you listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Pay very close attention to the lyrics in the songs, because the crazy thing about this album is that the music, like musically, it's so ridiculous and just like strange and fun, but like the lyrics are just the most depressing thing I've ever heard, and it's crazy. And it's so deep. Yeah, I think you might like it. I think you might be pleasantly surprised.
I just realized the spelling is REEL.
Yeah.
Big Fish.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right.
It's a pun
All right.
on fishing.
I got it. Well played.
Have you ever gone fishing before, Noah?
I have gone fishing.
You have?
Not a fan. I'm not a fan.
You don't like fishing?
It's kind of boring. I think I'd like it way more now.
Yeah.
When I did it when I was younger. I think I'd like it way more now.
I went fishing recently with my dad, and I think I liked it more now because now I tend to appreciate peace and quiet way more than I did when I was a kid.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly the way I feel. I think I'd like it way more now because of that one reason. Yep. Also, it's like sitting on the couch, basically, but you're outside and you might win something for doing that. So
yeah.
I don't know. It sounds way better than it
you don't
did
win when you're sitting on the couch at home.
Well, yeah,
you don't.
That's true.
You can't win at watching TV.
I don't know. Tell that to the Guinness Book World Records couch sitting award holder.
Is that
Go
a
tell it to them. I'm sure it's a thing. It has. There's literally everything in the Guinness Book, and it's absurd.
I haven't seen a Guinness Book of World Records since I was probably like 10, and I really wanted to get it, and I remember my parents telling me that they're super expensive.
Are they really expensive?
I don't know.
That's crazy to me, because you're basically buying a book of like the most useless information you could ever possibly read,
yeah.
And then they sell it at an exorbitant amount of money. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely insane.
What's crazy is I worked at a bookstore for 2 years and I don't remember seeing it.
I'm sure. I'm not surprised. I'm sure it's tucked in some weird little corner.
Yeah. If we did have it, we probably only had like a few copies, and I never.
What years did you have? What years? Because they have years.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't remember.
Alrighty. I did want to touch on one album that did come out recently.
Okay.
So it is kind of spur of the moment, but I feel like as far as the topics this week, it kind of plays on some. So the 1975 did release a new album. It I think it's a brief inquiry on online butchered that. Their new album is actually pretty good. I'm not really a 1975 fan necessarily. I think they've done some pretty good stuff. But I do actually really recommend Sincerity is Scary, because it has it has this interesting intro where basically it's like a cacophony of like jazz instruments, like trumpets, and so forth. I'm not familiar with instruments, but basically it's just this really like noisy, loud thing that you're like, turn it off. But it like they form a melody out of it, which I think is really interesting. And I think their lyrics are kind of pretentious and difficult to understand. But I don't know, it's a really good song. And they did another one. It's called Mine. It's on their new album, and that one's also really, and it's actually like interesting to listen to the album because Amanda, my girlfriend, really likes it, and so I hear it a lot. And like the the way they have such range is really interesting. Like they do like pop really well. They do like slow, jazzy, just straight up songs that are really good. But I don't know, they're really good, and the whole album plays on the idea of like basically the album title, a brief inquiry in. Basically, inquiry.
Inquiry.
Inquiry. Yeah. Okay, inquiry on online relationships. It's like, talking about how like modernity has failed us, and how like social media is bad. And I actually agree with that. I think I was way better off when I stopped using social media. But I don't know. It's really good, and I think it does kind of relate to our one of our movies that we're going to be discussing today. So I don't know. I recommend it. It's pretty good. So we'll go on to the next topic, which is something that is near and dear to both of our hearts. Gone Girl. You ready to talk about this, Grayson?
I don't know, man. I have. This movie is so good.
First off, I'll do some housekeeping real quick. This is released 2014, Gone Girl, directed by it was why am I forgetting it? David Fincher. David Fincher directed this 2014. This movie is basically about Ben Affleck's character. What was his name? It doesn't matter.
Bendel Afflector?
Nope, it was actually Nick Dunn, because I have the IMDb pulled up.
Okay.
So so basically it's about the whole, like, he's in a relationship with this woman. It's his wife.
Don't spoil it.
Just, I'm not getting. Well, I think there's gonna be some spoilers.
You already spoiled it.
All right, whatever. Spoiler alert. It's a movie about a person. So anyway, it's this man and his wife, and things are getting rocky, and she disappears, and there's basically just this insane unraveling mystery that comes from it. And for those who've seen it, I'm sure you're familiar with that. But this movie is incredible. It subverts a lot of, like, I'll say one thing right off the bat. It has a female villain, which isn't really typical. And normally I'd be like,
is she the villain?
I think she's absolutely a villain. I think the director even said that she's a villain. I mean, she's absolutely the villain in this movie.
Okay, I would say that's debatable whether she's a protagonist or antagonist.
It's definitely. I'll agree. The line is certainly blurred, and I think that's certainly an interesting part, and it makes the movie really enjoyable to watch. Alrighty, so it did get an excellent rating of 87 on Rotten Tomatoes. I'll just tell you my score right off the bat. This is a 5 out of 5 for me. I think this movie's a masterpiece.
9.5 out of 10.
9.5 out of 10. I think that's excellent. So yeah, what were your thoughts? Initial thoughts.
So as I was watching it, I think my initial thoughts were, this is nuts. I love this. And I was so confused for the first half, and then for the second half I didn't know who to root for. Because, spoiler alert, and I'm just gonna get into this. The first half of the movie.
You just jump right in.
Let's
dive
jump
right in.
Let's jump right into this. Let's jump right into it.
Let's just dive in.
The first half of the movie is a mystery, and the second half of the movie is like a game of cat and mouse, or like a competition.
Tom and Jerry.
No, but
okay,
but it's just this competition as to who can get the press on their side, kind of, and it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't even know where to begin explaining it.
Okay. I mean, I can go ahead and maybe take over a little bit.
Yeah.
So, like, gosh, this is such a good movie. So I think one of the most interesting things about this is the character development, and I really liked how, like, Nick initially is just kind of this, like, he's just kind of like a deadbeat. He's just like whatever, he's like a writer, but he owns a bar and he doesn't really do much. Doesn't really seem to be.
Yeah.
He's kind of washed up. He's just kind of living in suburbia, and like he co-owns a bar with his sister, and like you're being played from the minute you start watching this movie, basically. So the entire like right off the bat, him going to the bar at the beginning of the movie is a complete setup by his wife, which is it's so interesting to like because I've seen this movie before. So watching it was really interesting to see how she basically sets every single little thing up. So like as far as character development goes, she's like, she's written as this super intelligent, she went to like Ivy League schools, a very smart woman who is I don't think she's portrayed to be manipulative initially, but she's kind of caught in like her family, like for example her family, her dad and mom, I don't know which one, but one of them wrote the book series Amazing Amy, which was kind of like
they're children's books.
Yeah, they're children's books, but
children's
they're all
books about her as a character.
Yeah, so the female character in this movie is Amy Dunn, and her parents write a book series about her as a child. But each sort of book is kind of it always relates back to real Amy, and how like I think she uses a couple things. For example, like she gets a date to the high school dance or whatever, and she didn't get one, but Amazing Amy in the book did. So like at every step, the book version of her, the fake version of her, is like surpassing her and being better in every way, and basically perfect, the Amazing Amy, which I think growing up was obviously hard because you saw the fictitious version of you doing way better than real version of you, and I think that took a huge toll on her like mental stability, and really led her to be like always trying to be perfect, always. And she uses this a lot in the movie, the cool, quote unquote cool girl, which is like kind of what attracts Nick to her, and kind of pushes her whole motivation into light, where she's trying to be this cool person that everybody likes, that she's the cool wife, and she just lets things roll over her back, and she's awesome. And basically she's trying to make herself into Amazing Amy by the pressure of her parents, and trying to keep up with her husband's expectations of her. So I felt like that was like a really interesting sort of backstory that really helps to develop the characters in the movie. Like, for example, Nick's character is kind of like a deadbeat, like I said, but he kind of evolves and a little bit in the to be more conscious of his actions. And initially, it's funny because initially he basically acts as though he's happy that his wife is missing, and like growing up, he's saying, my mom always told me just to be nice to people who are trying to help, and that comes off as him being excited. Like he, for example, smiles in a photo. That's his wife's parents are right next to him, frowning and basically looking at like they're on the verge of tears, but he's smiling, just because he's been trained to smile at photos. So it all kind of comes together, like their backstories really come together in this movie to really give off this interesting dilemma that the characters and the cast kind of find themselves in. So what did you think about Rosamund Pike, Amy's character? What do you think about her performance?
Incredible. Let me just say that like I had never heard of this actress before. I don't think that I've ever seen anything else that she was in. But
I feel like I've seen maybe one or two things. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's definitely a lesser known.
Yeah. But David Fincher, I don't know if he was directly in charge of picking out the actors and actresses, but if he was, he made an excellent choice because she's perfect. She was perfect for the role of this manipulative, cunning wife who will do whatever it takes to get away from her husband. And she was just perfect for the role.
Yeah, absolutely. I really couldn't agree more. And I think, because one of the things about it was she was supposed to be this ideal, perfect wife. Mm-hmm. And I think that she used a lot of her Like a lot of the ways that she tried to be the perfect wife, she basically used against everyone. So she's she's an attractive woman, so she uses that against people. She's very smart. She uses that to manipulate the situation to her benefit, and that is something that really, really got me and really chilled me to the core. Was how she was so able to manipulate the situation to her benefit,
She was willing to do
flawlessly.
whatever it takes to get the outcome that she wanted. She killed a guy.
Yeah,
And made it look like he raped her.
Yeah, and that whole setting up was it was never planned. None of that was ever planned initially. But basically, at one point she's running away and she's staying at this motel and she gets robbed. So that kind of changes her plan, and she has to evolve and change with the situation to succeed. And she does it almost flawlessly. I think there's a couple like loose ends that the cops try and pull out of her at the end, but she's too what's the word? I guess stressed. She's can't think of the right word. Anyway, she basically manipulates it to her benefit, and I thought that was so well done in the movie, and it was really honestly scary how her ability to use like situations, like, and I'm kind of repeating myself, but like when she gets robbed, like she's initially going to kill herself is the goal, but she's not really sure whether or not she's going to do it, but that's kind of the end goal. And I think that through talking to some strangers, her plan changes from killing herself to, well, that would just give him freedom basically.
Yeah.
And she comes up with an even more devious plot, and it's crazy how well planned out it is, and she's so well prepared for it that in the beginning of the movie there's this talk about whether or not they want to have kids or not. And so he goes to a clinic and make sure that he's fertile, and the sample was actually meant to be thrown out initially at the beginning, but it's later found out that she has she's actually taken the sample but made it look as though she didn't care about it, basically as collateral at the end of the movie. And she basically uses it to, and I'm getting kind of ahead of myself, but she basically uses it to screw him over to the highest degree, which is
she made him stay
absolutely
with her.
Scary. Yeah, and that's absolutely scary because he knows that she's this insane, crazy, psycho, murderous person, and she does probably the worst thing she possibly could have done to him, which is give him a reason to never leave her. And man, it's just chilling how amazingly manipulative and like so smart she is. It really left me without words. But yeah, did you have more to talk about this one?
I did want to say that from the beginning of the movie, she is afraid of him. She's afraid that he might hurt her. She's afraid that he might get violent, and he almost he loses it at some points. Like he hurts her a few times, but she becomes afraid of her own husband, and that's part of the reason why she devises this plan to get away from him in the first place. But by I think it's it's right at the end of the movie, she changes the situation totally, like a total 180, because by the end of the movie he's afraid of her and the lengths that she'll go to protect herself.
Wow.
Because she freaking murdered a guy just to make it look like she was kidnapped instead of because if she hadn't done that, the cops would have found out that she faked her own death, and she wasn't about to let that happen. Especially considering the fact that she was pregnant. And it puts some more perspective in there because she knew she was pregnant. I think she knew she was pregnant when she tried to disappear.
I'm not so sure. I don't
Really?
know exactly. Well, I don't know at one point she is pregnant. I feel like it's almost like, I don't know. I would think that maybe she actually, I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Because there's a little bit of time gap at the end where she could have
Oh, that's
became
right.
pregnant.
That's right. I forgot about the time gap. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. Never mind. Never
I
mind.
mean, it's never explicitly said when she became pregnant. So she very well could have been pregnant from the beginning.
No, because it's several months.
That's true, actually. Yeah, you're right. It was months. But yeah, I don't know.
Never mind. Then. Yeah.
But
Whoops.
yeah, you're right. She does have that whole initial thing where she's afraid of him.
Mhm.
But that whole diary, man, that whole diary, it was basically faked. Remember? Because they
She wrote the whole
as
thing
she-
in like a day.
yeah, she wrote the whole thing really, and that's crazy because initially you're so convinced by the fact that this is her diary from when they first started dating, and just the way she's able to progress the writing with the story, the quote unquote narrative, I guess,
Yeah.
of their relationship is so it's like it's. I'm gonna keep saying this, but it's scary. Like it's really like crazy how smart and how much of a planned thing this was, and yeah, it's crazy to me. This whole movie is chilling.
She's very talented, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's I think there's a lot of other aspects of the movie that really were amazing. I think, for example, the score so good.
Dude.
I mean, one scene in specific, it was absolutely excellent, where she's actually murdering Neil Patrick Harris's character. I think his name is Desi.
Yeah. His name is
yeah.
it's Desi, I think.
Yeah, I think it's Desi. Yeah, but when she kills him, basically she frames him for rape, and during the framing, she's able to take a box cutter, and that's actually something that they talk about at the end of the movie, where he said, you know, if he had her chained up and locked up in a room, how is she able to get a hold of a box cutter? Which they talk about, and it's kind of one of those loose ends that she never really ties up, which is kind of interesting. It shows how she's imperfect and she's not absolutely perfect in her plan, but it's dang near close to perfect because it's so excellently executed that there's really no way that any reasonable person could question it, and it's just incredible. Her interaction with Desi and how she's able to take somebody from the past and manipulate that person. And actually, they talked. There's a portion of the movie where he's going through like her past loves and like trying to like figure out what happened and get more perspective, which is interesting to me. To like, you're married to somebody and you have to like go through their past like lovers to figure out like who this person even is.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah, which is crazy. And they come across this one guy who's like she dated like for like a little while, but then she again framed him for rape, but didn't kill him. And she bought the ties that she had basically wrapped around her hands or something. And there's like, I don't know, it was incriminating evidence because she had bought the ties for him. And it's crazy to see how she like at every waking minute, she's always like planning something.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes again to how cold and calculating she is.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when she's killing Desi's character, the way that they shot that scene was incredible. Like the way they faded in and out between each like sort of angle was that compounded with the score was really probably the best scene in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree. I think it was the best scene in the movie. It was the one that captured me the most, you know, it was the one that that like mesmerized and shocked me at the same time the most, you know, out of any of the others in the whole film. This one was the most jarring.
Yeah, there's a lot of jarring scenes even besides that one.
Yeah. Oh, totally. But overall, I would have to rate this movie a 9 out of 10 quite easily. Noah, what would you give it?
Oh, I gave it a 5 out of 5. I love this movie. I think it's absolutely amazing. It's definitely a masterpiece. I agree.
Yeah. Great. Awesome. Well, that's Gone Girl. I recommend that you would see it ASAP, as soon as possible, if you have not seen it already.
It really makes me want to see the rest of David Fincher's movies because I haven't really seen that many, but I've heard they're all really good.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, they are. I haven't seen all of them, but they've all got really high ratings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Do you want to move on?
Let's move on. Yeah.
All right. Tell us about Her.
Okay. I really couldn't stop thinking of this movie since we watched it because it poses some really interesting questions in a really interesting framing.
And we only watched this last night, to be fair, so we haven't had a lot of time to digest this one like we did Gone Girl.
Yeah, I even was like, basically, I took my lunch break today. I was like, I'm gonna write about this because and just kind of put my thoughts down because I had a lot of them, and I really really like this movie. This was directed by Spike Jonze, so he did a lot of other movies. For example, he did Being John Malkovich, which I have yet to see, but that I've heard is good. He's done a lot. He's directed a lot of videos. He's pretty well known. This came out 2013. It has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 94%, which is pretty high for especially kind of an older movie. So it's well established, older. And it has 2013.
Well, I guess
I mean that's a pretty good while to have it maintain a 90%. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I do really really like this movie. I don't know if I'm kind of hesitant to say I love it. I don't know. It's such an interesting take on like the near future. Because a lot of times, if you see like a futuristic movie, it's a lot of times it holds itself to like a technological advancement and really focuses on the like technology and like how that interacts. But this it doesn't even feel like it focuses on technology. It's almost just like a romantic drama.
Yeah.
Almost, and it doesn't even like it. It touches on way more like social issues as opposed to technological issues. Like it doesn't even really go into ethics or morality. Really, it just goes into like I don't know, like what makes you human.
Mm-hmm.
Like what is love and what's a relationship supposed to be, and it asks a lot of good questions. And for that, I think it's really interesting to put it in this sort of framing in the near future of California. So, what are your first impressions?
This movie is beautiful. Beautiful film. Beautiful film. Excellent acting. I gotta say, this is probably my favorite movie that Joaquin Phoenix has ever been in. That I've seen. That is. Even though I really like M. Night Shyamalan's Signs, I think
I was just thinking of that.
I love that movie. He's great in that movie, and he's great in The Village. He's in a lot of M. Night Shyamalan now that I think of it.
He is, yeah. He's in. I feel like he's in one of the more recent ones. Like, isn't he in the one with Split? Isn't he in Split? I feel like he's like a janitor in Split or something. I don't know.
No,
I'm probably pulling
not that I know of.
All right. But yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of M. Night Shyamalan, especially his early stuff. But yeah, Joaquin Phoenix's acting is definitely excellent in this movie.
Yeah. So he was just he was a really relatable character. If you've had relationship troubles, you're gonna relate to this character. I feel like he's very easily for like the mass audience to relate to.
Yeah, he's almost like a blank slate sort of character. He has just enough characterization to where he's like interesting to watch, but he's not too like he kind of fits the role of every guy. Like every guy wants an interesting partner that's excited about life. I mean, that's easily relatable.
He's made for people to be able to put themselves in his shoes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think that kind of is a big point in the movie is like what it centers more around like the aspects of relationships as opposed to like, man, this character's really interesting. It's more about like it's more talking on relationships as opposed to like the real characterization of like people in a relationship, I think.
Oh yeah. Yep. And so I guess we should go ahead and explain the plot.
Sure. Yeah, you can go ahead.
So essentially, this takes place in, I'd say, a future that's probably about 50 years from now.
Sure.
Or it's supposed to be around 50 years from now. Not very far off, but from the looks of things, it's still relatively close to now. The world seems like it's a better place than it is right now. And so it's I wouldn't say it's a utopian future because the setting isn't expanded on that much. It takes place in a futuristic Los Angeles. And it is about a character who I can't remember his name. Theodore, that's right. Joaquin Phoenix plays a character named Theodore. I don't know his last name. It's in the movie, but I don't remember it. I
don't think it's ever mentioned.
It is once or twice.
Maybe.
Anyway, Theodore is this guy, like we said, blank slate, sort of meant for other dudes to relate to. He just got out of a really bad divorce, and the reason it was really bad is because he was deeply, deeply in love with his ex-wife. And he loved her. But he had this problem where he sort of distanced himself from her. And he doesn't know why he does it. And so he's lonely. And he goes to work every day. His job, I thought, was really interesting. He writes letters to people from their significant other. And people buy them and send them to their significant other. And there's a whole business based around this. I think this is supposed to be some sort of statement on people losing touch of personalization of getting of how do I say this? Like
authentic relationships. Yeah, it's not really
everything. How everything in relationships is sort of formulaic and fake. I think this is a small statement on that. Because in the movie, pretty much all the relationships we see don't go very well. His relationship,
which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah,
how it contrasts like a relationship with a robot as opposed to relationships with real people. It was an interesting contrast because it didn't really pose an answer, I guess, as to whether like one was superior over the other. Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, picking back up with the main plot, he buys this computer operating system, which is like a super smart AI that is almost like its own individual, and it learns and adapts, and it's like hyper intelligent, and it's able to think and have emotions, and they fall in love. Now, it's not really he falls in love with her, but it's they fall in love with each other, which is interesting. Because before I saw this movie, I thought it was he falls in love with her, and it's sort of a creepy thing. Yeah. But they fall in love with each other, very much so, and it creates this period of time in his life where he's in love with someone who isn't physically there. And so it creates a lot of problems for him, but it also brings him back from a dark place in his life where he isn't really able to love or connect with people, because he has very close friends who invite him out to parties and want to hang out with him. And he's like, yeah, okay, yeah, maybe I'll be there. And he just sort of isolates himself, and he doesn't end up committing to anything. And his friend, I forget her character's name, Amy. Amy, that's right. I remember that because it's played by... She's played by Amy Adams, and the character's name is Amy.
It took a lot of time on the name.
So anyway, his friend Amy, she invites him to hang out and stuff, and he kind of doesn't... he doesn't want to do that, but he starts hanging out with her more once he gets into this relationship with this... AI, whose name is
Samantha.
Samantha, that's right.
Hmm.
And so he and Samantha have this relationship that lasts a long time. I'm not going to get into all the ups and downs, but they have some arguments, some disagreements, and some trials and troubles and obstacles. But by the end of the movie, Samantha reaches a plane of existence where she can no longer be in love with a person because she sort of like transcends being, which is hard to explain. And
I think that's probably one of the weaker points in the film. Don't really explain it, honestly. And I don't know if that's okay. It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, well, you obviously can't explain it because it's not explainable in the movie because it's a wholly
yeah,
like AI type of emotion and sort of experience. So you can't really put it into human words. So
yeah,
it's kind of self-fulfilling. I feel like it was maybe a little of weak writing, but I don't know. I'm conflicted on that portion.
yeah. Essentially what happens is she gains so much knowledge and communicates with so many other operating systems and AI and people that she becomes so smart that essentially she can't exist as like she can't exist in the way she is, so she can't have this relationship with Theodore anymore.
Physically limiting to her.
Yeah, he's holding her back, essentially, and that's kind of what she tells him, but in a much nicer way than that.
Which I think is interesting because that's kind of a human thing to be like, um, that's kind of a human relationship thing where you would be, one person may feel like the other person is holding them back, and that's kind of interesting the way like through each of these the problems in the relationship, a lot of them are just like really really human problems.
Yeah,
And I think that's so interesting
and
how they were able to write it that way.
it's intentional and it's perfect because by the end of the film, he is able to come to terms with his divorce and his ex-wife.
Yeah.
And he becomes more whole than he was in the beginning of the movie. Even though Samantha, whom he loved, left him, she taught him what he needed to learn about human relationships. She taught him more about human relationships than he ever learned from another human.
Yeah, and that is so like interesting of a way to like introduce those sort of themes.
Yeah.
And I really love the framing of this movie, and it has such good themes, and I think they're done in such an interesting way.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point is to like, he really did learn a lot, and I think that's one of those things where is it bad that he learned a lot from this robot? I guess because I mean it's a robot, it's a program. I mean, it really is. If you boil it down, it's a machine. It's a program. It's designed to surpass itself. It's designed to be this smart. It's designed to do all these different things.
Yeah.
Is it such a bad thing that he gained all this insight and all the stability from literally just a machine when you break it down?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like, was their relationship meaningful? And it's kind of like, how can you have like a meaningful relationship with something that's literally just a robot? It's just a program. It's, if you boil it down, it's a machine.
I think
how can you call that meaningful?
I think that it was meaningful in the fact that he learned so much from her. Like he became a better person because of her. One thing I was trying to say earlier, I touched on it a little bit, but he throughout the movie, like there's a point where he's dating Samantha where he goes to visit his ex-wife for them to finally finish signing their divorce papers, and he's so hung up on it, and he never actually wanted to get it done because he was afraid of not being married anymore. He was afraid of the future. He was afraid that he would be alone for the rest of his life. He was scared. And Samantha helps him get over that. First of all, she gives him the confidence to go do it. But once he goes and does it, they have this whole argument about about all the stuff they would probably argue about in their regular relationship, about how she complained. His ex-wife, that not Samantha. This is when they're signing the divorce papers. She complained that when they were married, he would always distance himself from her, and it showed us all these flashbacks of when they were happy throughout the film. But it also showed us flashbacks of when she was alone. She felt very isolated, and it's easy to relate to both of them in that situation because, like, so. I know, like, in relationships I've been in, it's easy to feel isolated and feel like the other person doesn't understand you, and that while you're growing together, it's also dangerous to grow separately. Now, and that was essentially their whole problem. And she tells him that, but he's unwilling to accept that he was the one at fault. He's still defending himself. He wouldn't take the humble step and apologize. So by the end of the movie, Samantha leaves him because she transcends, I guess. I don't know what else to call it. And so Samantha leaves him. Excuse me. And the first thing he does after recovering from that breakup is he writes an email to his wife, finally apologizing and being the bigger man and just saying, there's so much that I did wrong, and I will always cherish the time we had together, and you taught me so much about love, and I'm forever grateful for that. So he finally overcomes, he finally steps down off his high horse by the end of the movie, and he overcomes his fearfulness about his past marriage, and it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful ending. Because really the whole movie is about him sort of struggling on and off with his past marriage.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, I don't know. It's just it's a lot to process because, gosh, it's really, it is very complicated.
Yes.
And
very.
There's just a lot of things going on in this movie.
Yeah. At the same time as the main plot happening, his best friend is going through a divorce at the same time. And it sort of is a mirror image of the divorce that he went through. And so it's kind of a weird thing for him. And also at the same time as that, of those two plots going on, it like, the story sort of hints at the fact that the AI are getting too smart.
Yeah, and that's obviously a scary thing that exists in our world.
Yeah,
because robots would get too smart and take over.
Because when Samantha breaks up with him, she says, "We're leaving," and he's like, "Who?" And she said, "Me and the rest of the OSs, which is the operating systems, which are essentially these AI, and all of them are leaving." And so throughout the whole movie, she says she's talking to other operating systems, other AI, who have also grown to have personalities. And she mentions at the beginning of the movie, when she first meets him, that she never, unlike a human, she never stops growing. And I think that is ultimately the reason why she stops existing on the same plane that she did in the first place, because humans stop growing. Humans basically grow and then cease to grow and then start to deteriorate. Samantha and the AI in this movie never stop growing. They always learn and absorb and become bigger than what they already are. And that's an idea that just cannot exist in relation with a human. So it makes sense that she would have to leave him. But it's still really heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's definitely it definitely hits you emotionally, because I think, like we were saying before, you put yourself in the movie because it's such a relatable character. You know, he's kind of just an average Joe.
Yeah.
And it's easy to put yourself and really feel the weight of the ending of them. And I think there's a couple of things that I picked up on that were interesting that I researched, and it turns out that she writes these pieces throughout the movie, these piano pieces, basically.
Yeah.
And that theme is played through the good portions of their relationship.
Uh-huh.
And it's actually, so this is interesting. At the end of the movie, the theme that they play when Theodore and Amy go up to the roof and sit down next to each other is the same theme played with different instruments as the two themes that, I guess, like piano pieces that she writes throughout the film. It's the same.
I noticed that.
So
it's a happy ending.
It is a happy ending, and I think that's really interesting because it is such a depressing movie. It's so sad, but it does end on a high note, and I think it is kind of it's very purposeful because it's also when him and Amy sit on the roof together, and I don't know if that's necessarily indicating that they would be involved in a romantic relationship or if it's just platonic, but it does kind of gesture towards maybe there's something there because
I think it's just more of a general statement of like there's hope for both of them, you know.
Yeah, I mean it definitely could be that. I mean, I think part of the point of it is also it's kind of left up to the viewer a little bit because it's somewhat ambiguous, but it's definitely meant to be that way.
Yes.
And I really like that part about it, and I think Amy's character was definitely someone who is definitely important to the movie to kind of reflect off of because she has an OS that you know she loses too.
They're friends though, you know. It's like her girlfriend, you know.
Yeah, and
not like a sexual girlfriend, but she's she's just they're friends, you know. They're very 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 close friends. I think like they kind of become best friends over the course of the movie. Her and her other OS.
Yeah, and I thought that was really good. I liked about it. There's also, and I think it also plays off the initial beginning of the movie. There is this the scene where he's walking through, and then there's almost like an advertisement, and a portion of it says, you know, where are we going? And I think the end of that movie was kind of an answer to that, and it's like you don't really know, but it doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really good.
Dude, the ending was so perfect.
It really was the best ending. I felt like the writing could have been a little bit stronger as far as the reason she left, but I think it's still, regardless, it was still the right ending.
Yeah. They hint at it throughout the other portions of the movie. They hint at the fact that she is just growing and growing and growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, and I think it does mimic, like I said before, real relationship where people can grow apart. Yeah. And I thought that was really a human thing that was kind of came out of like an artificial thing. And I think that's kind of the whole point of the movie is like just the whole idea of an artificial person and a real person having a relationship. And I think like, on the technology side of it, she's so advanced to the point where she can mimic a real human in such an authentic way that it's almost like, you know, what is a relationship? And I don't know. I think that's a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I think they had a meaningful relationship, and I think that's something that, you know, you don't even really have with real people sometimes. And it's interesting because he kind of almost forces that to happen. I think it's almost designed to be that way, which is almost like, well, then it's not meaningful because it was designed to be meaningful. It's not like organic meaning because in the beginning it says, you know, what's your relationship with your mom like? You know, it asks him another question I can't remember, but it asks him questions that he gives answers to, so it is tailored to him. So it's interesting because it blurs the line between what is meaning, because there's artificial things that in real relationships between real people. So it's just so interesting to of a take on like this advanced sort of society and how, I don't know, the lines of real and not real are blurred. And I thought that was good, just such a interesting framing. And I really enjoyed this movie. I thought this movie.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about the no collar on the shirt though. I kind of want to be able to wear ties, so I don't know if I'm going to do 50 years into the future.
Yeah.
No collar thing. And I love Chris Pratt's character in this movie. I thought he was great.
I didn't even know he was in it.
Like while we were watching the movie or previous?
Before.
Yeah, before. I didn't know he was in it either. And it was it's so funny to have him in it, because he's basically playing his character on Wreck.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that was a bad or a good thing. I thought it was funny. I liked his. And then, like, them going on, like, a double date was so weird. It was so odd. But it was like, I don't know. I guess that's just kind of natural. Like, in their society, it's just a normal thing. And I don't know. Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
It's definitely poses a lot of questions. I don't know. I think that it also poses the question of what is actually love, what is real love, and I don't know that I could really say that I don't know that I could say that it was real love, because I think she was programmed to have that emotion. She was programmed to have feelings, to be organic, and when you're programmed to be organic, you're not truly organic. So I don't think it was actual love. I don't think she truly loved him, unfortunately. But I think that I think it was still, regardless of that, still a meaningful relationship, because it did impact him in a very real way that really did lead to him, changing as a person and growing, and obviously not to the rate that she did, but it's still a significant change and a significant growth that really was meaningful. And I think it very truly was meaningful, and so I think it was a real relationship. But I can't say that she actually loved him, because I think that portion was programmed. Unfortunately, I don't know. It's just, that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree. Oh, okay. Man. I love this movie. I just love this movie. I'm so glad that we watched it.
Me too. I mean, it was on my watch list for a long time. I love the obviously it was shot beautifully.
Oh my god! Yeah, the color palette.
Score was amazing.
Awesome.
The color was great. I'm looking at the IMDb right now. The poster's really interesting because he's wearing his red shirt, and I really like this. He's wearing his red shirt, but the background is the red of the OS, and it's not quite the same red, but it's so subtle, and it really does reflect the subtlety of them, and how excellent it was. I don't know. It's so good. And I don't know why all the guys had mustaches. I don't know if that's just the thing.
Not all of them did.
Not
all the main characters did.
All the main characters did. I'm not too crazy about it. But I don't know. I really liked it. I think the acting was amazing. Score was really good. The cinematography, obviously, color palette was really good. It exceeded all of my expectations in all those categories, and really provided an interesting, amazing experience, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a shame I didn't get to see it until now. I felt like there was like a real lack of humor in the movie, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, not necessarily.
I don't think so at all. But it was interesting when there was like in the beginning of the movie. I won't get into too much detail, but he's having an intimate moment with somebody over earbuds, and it goes off the rails. And I don't know that we should really get
hilarious.
Into it. But it is really, if you haven't seen it, it's almost worth watching it just for that hilarious scene. But I don't know. I feel I have mixed feelings on it, because it's not really present throughout the rest of the movie. Like that sort of humor. And I think that, I don't know, I would have appreciated some of that same sort of humor and commentary on like our society in that same sort of way. I think that would have been good. But I don't know. I don't know that I'd really change that, though.
Yeah.
I thought that it just would have been... I think that would be a cool sort of satire to see. But I don't know if this is really the movie. I really still like the movie a lot, because, even without that.
Yeah. Interesting thing I just found out. His ex-wife, Catherine, in the movie, is played by Rooney Mara, who is in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, who plays the protagonist, Lisbeth Sandler. Salander, not Sandler. And basically, that's a David Fincher film, is what I'm trying to get at.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I think it should be on both of our lists to watch, personally.
Definitely. She was also... Was she not in Breaking Bad? Wasn't she... Jesse's...
No, that was
no.
That was
that's That's someone else.
I know her
You
name.
you know what I'm talking about, though,
Kristen
right?
Ritter.
That might be right, but I trust you. But gosh, she looks a lot like her.
It's the
Hmm.
hair.
I think it's the hair. I think you're right. I think it is the hair.
Yeah.
Um,
She's really pretty.
yeah, definitely. Um, but yeah, I like this movie a lot.
I hadn't seen I don't know what Chris Pratt was in before this.
Was he in?
Like movie wise. Cuz Guardians of the Galaxy didn't come out until 2014. And this movie was obviously shot before 2014.
He was probably.
2013. So it was probably shot in 2012, this movie.
I know he was still in Parks and Rec because in Parks and Rec they make a joke about how he has like no beer belly, and that's because he was filming Guardians of the Galaxy. So I don't know. He was
Interesting.
because in that season he's also like not really present all that much because he's filming for Guardians of the Galaxy. So
Oh yeah.
it may be that he's just straight up doing Parks and Rec, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure, but I'd probably be willing to bet that that's what he was doing beforehand. But I don't know. I thought it was a good little role for him. I thought he did really well.
Did you also know that Kristen Wiig is the sexy kitten?
Oh, is she
character?
really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can totally see that too. Oh man, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was a great scene. I do love that scene.
Such a funny scene. The whole
It's
dead
really
cat thing.
it. Man, the dead cat thing is great. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
And then
I really
Spike
like that movie.
Jones was the alien child.
Oh my gosh, we didn't even talk about that. The alien child was easily my favorite character.
He was
Oh my gosh.
okay. So
So funny.
in the movie, I forgot Theodore. Yeah, sorry, I keep forgetting his name. Theodore's playing this video game. It's like a virtual reality type thing, but it's like holographically projected, so it's kind of VR. But anyway, he's playing this video
AR.
game, and yeah, he's playing this video game, and there's this like little character that he finds, and he's just the most vulgar character that I've ever seen in a movie ever, and it's hilarious.
It reminded me of like a Rick and Morty character almost. In like
Yeah.
just like R-rated almost.
Yeah.
Because like have you played or seen anything about that game called Accounting? You know what I'm talking
No.
about?
That's
No? Okay, well,
the guys who did Rick and
Rick and
Morty,
Morty.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just seems so much like that, like the timing in the comedy. Actually, you know what? There was actually some comedy in it because that was
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was really good. I like that scene, and it was definitely refreshing. So yeah, I think the pacing was actually like really good as far as being really serious and being kind of it's still through and through a drama, but I thought that was pretty cool to have that little portion around the middle of the movie to have a good laugh.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was excellent. What would you rate this?
Probably 8.5. 8 or 8.5. Let me go with 8. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I'm going with the 4.5. I really liked it. There is one other thing that I wanted to touch on that I forgot to. But I do like this one portion of the movie where they're laying on the beach, and it's kind of a point that they make in the movie that like a body isn't necessarily important, and it's going along the same theme of, it's just because it's artificial doesn't mean that it's not meaningful or real, because she talks about how weird the human is, and I don't know, it's kind of she's kind of right. Like if you just totally forgot what a human body would look like, you'd be like, wow, that's weird. Like her reaction to it was pretty funny. Like what. Why are the eyes there? Why is the mouth like that? What's this, dangly thing off the middle part? And I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny, and it was it did hit on the same subject of, it's not, necessarily intrinsical. And I don't actually agree with this. I think that Um, I think having a physical body I actually do believe it's intrinsical to a marriage and a relationship.
Of course, of course.
But I don't know. It did kind of like it's not the most important thing, and I think that's kind of well put. Maybe
Well,
overstated a little bit.
think about those who are physically disabled, who are in relationships. Those people are able to fall in love purely off personality, you know?
Yeah, and that's true. And I also distance relationships, which
you cut out there for a second. I missed what you said.
Oh, sorry. Like long distance relationships, I don't think those are the most the strongest. But it doesn't mean that they don't exist or haven't succeeded. And I think that's something to note there. That disabled people who are in a relationship purely on, just their minds and talking.
Yeah.
And long distance relationships where it's the same thing there. And I think that it gets so close to like a legitimately real relationship. It's basically as absolutely real as artificial intelligence could ever be portrayed, I think. And I really like that about it. How dang close it got to a real relationship. And I don't think that it wasn't real, but there's still some inauthenticity to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I said that right. But yeah, I think there's definitely to some degree a not real portion, and I don't know. It definitely blurred the line, and it was had a lot of good points.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that is such a good movie. It's such a meaty topic too.
I loved it. It was a little long. It was a little. I didn't mind though. It was necessary for the plot, so I thought it was great. 2 hours and 3 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, it did feel a little long, but I don't know. I thought it was good.
This movie has really made me like Spike Jonze as a director, so I think I'm going to bump up Being John Malkovich a few spaces on my watch list.
Yeah, I agree. I really want to watch more stuff now, just because of that.
Yeah. I also really love John Malkovich as an actor. Gosh, he's hilarious.
Oh, he's great. He's very funny. I like him a lot. He was really good in... that I think it was Coen Brothers movie. That really weird off the wall Coen Brothers movie. What was it called? The one with George Clooney. You know what I'm talking about?
Which one with George Clooney?
Burn After Reading.
Oh.
Burn After Reading.
Yeah, I've never seen that. Yeah.
I don't really recommend it. I love Coen Brothers, but it's such a weird movie, and he's in that, and he's probably one of the best parts. He plays this character where he's like this government, like high level ranking CIA agent or something. He's kind of like a director, honestly, at this point in the agency. But they have like somehow somebody blackmails him, but it's like just a no name nobody who blackmails him, and then he just loses it, and he ends up. There's this crazy scene where he ends up. I won't tell you who, but he ends up shooting somebody, just like. Oh no! Actually, he doesn't end up shooting somebody, but he does like beat the crap out of somebody, and it's pretty insane his reaction. I think John Malkovich is perfect for that sort of role, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Being John Malkovich. I love Malkovich. He's great.
He's a very funny guy too. Like in interviews and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's it for her.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed her. I enjoyed talking about it too. You guys who are listening, please watch this movie. It is so good, and it really makes you think about relationships and sort of, I guess, the beauty of how people relate, and it just really makes you think. So please
definitely
see this
a thought
movie.
provoker.
Oh yeah, I agree. So, did you have anything else? I mean, I know you mentioned that you had a few smaller things you might want to get into.
Yeah, so I did. I saw a couple other movies. I did see Ralph Breaks the Internet because, and I'll tell you why I watched it. Because it was playing at the drive-in, and I absolutely love the drive-in. The Gooseman Drive-In.
This is your second free ad for the drive-in.
It's not free. I'll tell you what right now, because they we're such regulars there. We ended up getting free T-shirts, so it's not really free because we got free shirts out of it. So I'll promote the crap out of it.
I don't have a T-shirt, Noah. Where's my T-shirt?
Maybe you should go to the drive-in more often and get in with the owner. Get buddy with the owner, and then maybe you'll get a free T-shirt.
Why don't you tell him about our podcast?
I will next time. Well, he's actually it's actually closed. We weren't able to go to the last movie. They weren't really even showing that good of movies. I'd really go regardless of what they were showing, which is basically why I saw Ralph Breaks the Internet. Which honestly, I didn't see the Emoji Movie, but I'm gonna go ahead and just say this without any sort of basis. But I feel like Ralph Breaks the Internet is probably like the best version of the Emoji that could basically ever exist.
What does that even mean? Like, is there even a world where the Emoji Movie could exist as a good movie?
Yeah, it's called Ralph Breaks the Internet.
It's good?
It's okay.
I thought it was bomb.
No, it was okay.
Was it funny at least?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's probably the best way that the Emoji Movie could ever exist in a pretty good movie.
All right.
And it was okay. That I'd rather talk about the drive-in way more than that movie, to be perfectly honest. And it was actually pretty funny. I have a little story about going there. So we're on the way, and this will be kind of brief, but we're on the way. We're driving there, and I don't know if this is of any sort of substance, but we're driving, and there's like this trash on the road, and this cop stopped to like pick it up because it was like obstructing the road.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, okay, and it didn't look like that much, so I was just gonna be like, okay, we'll just wait, and he'll finish picking it up. And I'm not doing that to be a jerk or anything, but
yeah,
it didn't look like any, like if I got it, like here's the thing, if I got out of my car, I pick up like 2 things and then that would be it. So it's not like I was being a jerk about it. I just didn't want to really get out of my car. It would have been a waste of time. So this lady, and you're familiar with the can I speak to the manager meme? You're familiar with that?
I mean, it's not really a meme. It's just more of like a way people are.
Yeah.
Like middle-aged women who are just unsatisfied with everything in their life, so they have to take it out on other people.
Yeah. So anyway, one of those people
yeah,
comes bouncing on it for, I don't know, like Escalade or whatever.
Yeah.
And, got the honeycomb hairdo.
Of
right?
course. What else?
It's the worst. Her stupid, big, dumb... I'm going to roast her because she's the worst human being that is alive.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you why. Because she gets out of her car, her SUV, whatever, Escalade, whatever, gets out. Stupid hairdo, stupid glasses, stupid blouse.
Okay.
She's got like silver like jewelry on.
Uh-huh.
And so she's walking over, and as she's walking over, the amount of trash on the middle of the road increasing rapidly because it's not very much. But she goes over and she picks up 2 things, and she goes and walks back to her car. Now, let me let you on this. She was like 4 cars back behind me. So in the entire time that she's taking walking up, she spent more time walking back and forth from the scene of the crime than she did spend picking up the 2 paper plates that she decided that was so important to pick up. And I don't really like, just ragging on random people, but she made me really angry, I'll be honest, because I know exactly why she did it. The only reason she did that was so that everybody in the cars that were in front of her would watch her pick up these things, and that is like, I'm sorry, that is really annoying to me. And I
look at what I'm doing at all you people who are just sitting in your car. Look, I'm picking up trash. I'm helping the officer. Look at me.
I mean, that's absolutely her attitude. Like, without a shadow of a doubt. And that is just so annoying.
Did she have a strut when she walked back to her car? Like
she did.
Really
she held her
confident?
head high.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She held her head. I know this thing.
Huh?
And it made
you cut out there.
Oh, I'm just saying it's the worst thing. And I think those people all need to stop being like that. And they should just let their hair down and let their hair grow out instead of doing that stupid haircut. And they need to stop wearing dumb glasses like that. And they need to stop acting like that because it's dumb.
Okay.
And that's my anecdote. Maybe not super funny, but just it's almost like a PSA. Just watch out for these types, okay? Because they're gonna ruin your drive to the glorious drive-in, which is going to be opening sometime in the Christmas season for a special showing. So if you get a chance and you're in the area, definitely go down. And I'm definitely not talking about it because they gave me free shirts or whatever. But anyway, excellent.
Don't you
movie
do
experience.
another ad for them unless they pay us.
Goose on Driving, I will do ads for you for free for whenever. Just hit me up. I'll do them for free. Do not let that lady in. She will ruin the entire Gooshland experience.
I hear you.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know. Ralph Breaks the Internet was pretty good. It was okay. I did end up seeing Green Book, which is basically Oscar bait. And I didn't hate it. It was pretty good.
Okay.
And it was interesting. It's about a story about a black man, and he's super pretentious and kind of feels like an outsider. I'll go over it briefly because it was actually pretty good. I liked it a lot. And it's about, his story and how he's like hired this rough and tumble bodyguard to help him go down into the South. And he's a well-dressed black man in the 60s. And if you go down to the South at that time and you're going into basically he's going through to like all of these different country clubs where all these white people are, and there's still like a lot of segregation, and like even more so than in the North, obviously. And it was excellent. I really liked it. I felt like it was a little bit pretentious, and I like a lot of pretentious things, but I think this one was kind of the biggest detractor was it definitely seemed like it was just trying to be an Oscar winning movie, and that's something that's kind of annoying to me, but it does kind of befall a lot of the movies that I like. So I don't know, it's interesting. It was a good movie. I do definitely recommend it. But yeah, those are the other movies I watched recently. So I don't know.
All right.
That's about as much as I got.
Okay. Well. Oh, I see that movie has Viggo Mortensen in it.
Yeah. He was in The Sopranos, I believe. I might be wrong.
He's better known for his role as Aragorn in Lord of the Rings.
Oh my gosh, is he really? Holy crap.
Yep.
I'm seeing it right now. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I can't believe you didn't know that.
How did I not know that? I don't know. That's crazy. Well, anyway, it was pretty great. Also, definitely want to mention that we are working on getting this podcast to, and you might even be hearing it on iTunes, or there's a couple different platforms that we're looking at trying to get onto, so that'll be definitely coming in the very, very near future. If not, you're listening to it right now. So we're going to be working on that, trying to get that set up. Maybe have some actual real sponsors that aren't the amazing and wonderful Goochland Drive-In.
They're not a real sponsor.
I don't care. So anyway, yeah, we might actually have some real sponsors, which would be pretty cool. And maybe get on some real platforms. That way it's not a nightmare trying to listen to this.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I mean, that's basically all I got for this. Grayson, do you have any other parting words?
No. I think that
said.
that about wraps it up. So I want to thank everybody a bunch for watching and listening. We have social media now, so check that out in the link in the description. Follow us on Twitter. Check out our Facebook page, and please join our Discord server. It's lots of fun in there. We got some good memes. We got some good company. Noah and I play video games in there sometimes, so if you want to laugh, if you want to hang out, come join us. Join our Discord server.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else? I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah, I think I'm done. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thanks a bunch for watching, everybody, and we will see you next time.